Just recently, a 6-year-old girl in Saginaw, Texas, was bound by her legs and hands and suffocated. Her body was then dumped less than a mile from her home. Many people believe that having children is a right they have from birth. They believe that having children will make them an adult and that parenting is as easy as breathing. The idea has been proposed that just like licensing to operate a car, you must also become licensed to become a parent. Now, before you start objecting profusely to this proposition, take a second to consider it. Teen pregnancy is at an all-time high, and those that can't naturally have birth to a child must go through excruciating testing, background checks, financial stability tests, and several other things just to be able to adopt a child. We have to have permits to have a garage sale, to volunteer at hospitals, to advise people with their feelings, to interior decorate for other people, and even to drive. Millions of kids are abused and neglected physically or mentally every year, so don't we owe them a chance to have a good life? Now, denying someone a driver's license could inconvenience that person, but even with that test, you can take it 3 times before you have to repay for another set of tests. There's a big difference between a teenager trying to get a driver's license and a teenager that becomes pregnant. Even if people have a right to have children, it can be limited in order to protect innocent people. Some may say that licensing would be too intrusive into the lives of sincere applicants, but the intrusion of a child on your life is even more significant. Children change every facet of your life in an even more significant way. They change how you eat, how you sleep, and even how you look at the world. When you have children, you change. Your limits are tested constantly. Your budgeting is never exactly what you want it to be, because so many other unexpected things come up that have to be paid for. Parents are supposed to prepare their children for adulthood, and if you can't be responsible enough to prove your stability to take care of a child, how can you show that same child the things they need to be able to do to become a good, upstanding citizen in society as an adult? A person has a right to rear children if he meets certain minimal standards of child rearing. Parents must not abuse or neglect their children, and must also provide for the basic needs of their children. If people were made to get a license before becoming parents, we could make sure that those that are denied licenses are given the opportunity to reapply easily and repeatedly for a license. Those that are just bad test takers or are just too nervous when they take the test would be able to attend a counseling or therapy session to study to pass as a competent parent on a later test. There are several things that could go wrong with the test. There could be people that can't read very well. There could be those that would take advantage of the system and use it to their own advantage by trying to exclude certain people from becoming parents. There could be questions of who gets to regulate the tests and how often they could be changed. The appeal process could be a problem. Who would fund and man the offices of the licenses? How often, if at all, would parents have to renew their license? How would those that can't physically produce children come into play? Would there be any separation between the adoption offices and this one? There are just several things that could go wrong, or things that might not, or people that might not like things that are going on. But these things are very minimal compared to how many lives are saved. This program would save our nation millions of dollars on public assistance programs and cost very little compared to how much is saved. If you could not pass the tests that were presented, it would not be the end of the world. You could retake the tests or do therapy to remedy the lower scores on the test. If you really did want to have a child, you would be able to get ready for parenthood. Those people that choose to do marriage counseling before they get married are twice as likely to stay married as those that don't. Doesn't it make sense that if a parent was to train to be a positive influence on a child, that that child would feel more important and more valued and certainly more able to become a positive parental figure later in life? Those parents today that want to adopt children are 5 times less likely to abuse a child because of the extensive screening that takes place before they're allowed to get a child. Some people may ask, who is going to make up the tests, and how do you define someone that's likely to be an inadequate parent? How can you be so smug as to say you can predict reasonably and accurately whether or not someone is going to harm a child? Going on with the adoption analogy, many prospective parents are mistakenly denied the opportunity to adopt because of inadequate testing. But it's better to weed out the possible bad parents than to miss a good one. It's more likely that a good parent will continue to try and be a parent than a bad one to continue. Most parents that would abuse a child were abused in some way themselves as a child. It's true that most parents have a special natural affection for their biological offspring, but this affection isn't enough, always. There are several mothers that have drowned their children in bathtubs, or other parents who have shaken their children to death to get them to stop crying. How much abuse and poverty and struggling will we subject future generations to by not implementing a program that will save so many children and help so many people? The classes that parents could take before the license exam could be just like a driver's education class. They teach the fundamentals of parenting. They would include diapers, feeding, time management, budgeting, effective communication skills, coping skills, a lot of coping skills, punishment for children, daycare options, cleaning your house and cleaning your child, burping, nutrition, CPR classes, colic, and many, many other things that they will face as a parent. If parents were able to take a parenting class before they had children, they would be a lot more likely to ask help later on when the real problems of adolescence and early childhood and early adulthood occur. In conclusion, obtaining a license to become a parent would benefit our entire society. There are some downfalls that could occur as a result of this licensing program, but the benefits would far outweigh all the things that could go wrong. Thank you.